Hey, HannahMouse1 here. Those of you who follow my channel will know that I have a devlog series for my game, A Farmer's Life. What you might not realise is that this series just hit its 1 year anniversary, so I decided that now would be a good time for a bit of a retrospective. And to anyone who's brand new here, welcome. And to fill you in, A Farmer's Life is a Stardew Valley inspired farming game that I'm making using Scratch. And if you heard the word Scratch and are about to click away from what has to be an unpolished, amateurish mess of a game, I beg you give me a few minutes of your time and I think you're going to be pretty impressed by the end of this video. My first devlog in the series was released on May 19th, 2022, but the story actually starts a bit earlier that in April with the WoW Games Scratch Game Jam, hosted by Jimmy over at WoW Games. I'll link his channel down below. If you're into some serious scratching, his content is really great for you. But anyway, the theme of this game jam was survival, and I made a submission called A Fisherman's Life. I have a separate video on that if you're interested in the details, but in summary, it was a game where you're a fisherman on a raft and you have to fish for wood and food in order to survive. Now, I'm not super proud of this game. I mean, it's fine given the time constraints, but it's buggy, small in scope, nothing to write home about anyway. But it did let me test out some systems that would form the foundation for a farmer's life. So let's jump over to May then, shall we? So the first 6 months were devoted to making the basic game loop, the vertical slice, the MVP as it's more professionally known, the minimum viable product. Basically, if you don't know, it just means it has enough of everything to give you the full experience or idea of what the game can offer while avoiding over polishing or over scoping anything. My MVP started with getting tile scrolling to work and getting the farm to generate the trees and rocks, with the trees able to spread and grow. I also added a daylight cycle. I added a player and got him moving around the farm with basic animation. I also added the ability to select objects such as trees and rocks with them being destroyed when clicked. I then created the tools with an axe, pickaxe, hoe and watering can and put them on a hotbar. I gave them the functionality that you'd expect them to have, so the axe cuts down trees, the pickaxe breaks rocks and so on. I also added the river to the bottom of the farm where you could refill the watering can. Next I gave the player some new animations for when they use the tools or watering can and created a health bar for the trees and rocks. I also started to add in some sound effects. And then I made the inventory. I created buttons to switch from the farm to the inventory and vice versa. I created pages for the different types of objects, so resources, plants, seeds. I also added in the first few items, wood, stone and acorns, and got them all set up with their inventory slots before going through and completely redoing my messy code into something neater and more readable. A few features, such as the daylight cycle and the ability for trees to spread naturally, got the axe at this point, as I didn't feel like they were adding anything. I also took the opportunity to add some things, such as slightly more accurate collisions and a fence that borders the farm. Then I created a pickup animation for when the player collects an item and added the ability for the player to place items such as acorns if they have it in their inventory. Also added many more items with 4 types of seed and their respective crop, as well as 3 root vegetables, which act as both seed and produce. In order for the player to obtain these items, I implemented a shop. I created a map and added some money to the game. I also created my first NPC, Besser, the shopkeep. I created the UI for the shop page and gave the player the ability to buy and sell their wares. Next came probably the most crucial addition to any farming game, the ability to plant and grow crops. I created 3 stages for each crop and made it so that crops could be placed on tilled soil. I sorted out growing crops if and only if the soil is watered, and allowed the player to harvest them. And from there, I polished everything up into a playable demo so I could start collecting some feedback from you guys. I did a title screen, officially naming the project A Farmer's Life in respect to the Fisherman's Life game jam project from which this game was born. I did some bug fixing and polish, and composed some background music before releasing the demo to the public. But now that I had a fully playable base with a solid loop, over the next 3 months I added in some features that are a tad bit too scope creepy for an MVP, but were things that I really wanted for the full version of the game. The first of these features was research. I created a new NPC, Derek, the scientist, as well as the map icon for the lab. I created a research option to extend how long soil stayed watered, as well as one to unlock fruit trees, which meant I had to add fruit trees to the game. I created all of the artwork for that, adding in 5 varieties of fruit. Then I added crafting, creating a furnace, which originally only baked bread, a pickle jar to pickle vegetables, boiler to turn fruit into jam, and a keg to turn wheat and fruit into alcoholic beverages. I also created a new location, the hardware store, and a new NPC to run it, Andy. From there I added mining. I made a quarry, repurposing a lot of the code from the farm, and created copper, iron and gold ores and their respective bars. I also created the blacksmith store, introducing Maya the blacksmith, and added the ability to upgrade tools, allowing the axe and pickaxe to destroy objects faster, or for the watering can to hold more water when upgraded. I also wanted to give the player something to work towards, so I added in a completion log to show how many crops and such the player had discovered. I added in a request board akin to Stardew Valley's bulletin board, as well as achievements. I tidied up my game code pretty significantly and added some major structural features such as volume control, key binding and saving. I revamped the title screen and released this as version 1 of the game. I then took a bit of a hiatus from the project for an experiment where I tried to convert A Farmer's Life into 3 different game engines, Unity, GameMaker and Godot, in order to try and expand my game dev horizons and to give you guys some time to play the game and give me feedback. And in the past couple of months I've overhauled the graphics for the game to use a more consistent pixel size, completely redoing the UI for areas such as the research lab. I did some general bug fixing and added some variety to the trees. I also updated the player animations. Then I added in a task system and a help page to guide the player, especially in the early game. And right now I'm working towards an update in which I'll be adding animals, because what's a farming game without the ability to rear animals? So far I've added added in the ability to build and upgrade the farm, and created an NPC to run it, Bridget. I'm so proud of what I've done so far, especially when you consider it was done in what most people call a kids coding platform, and I'm so keen to take this to the next level. Here's to the next year of development. If you enjoyed what I've done so far, feel free to check out the game link down below and to check out my devlog series for a more in-depth process for the development, which is all collected into a neat little playlist for your viewing convenience. Apart from that, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe if you did, and let me know that this is what you want to see more of, and I'll see you next week with another video. Bye!